studio production begins in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Community Foundation Spotlight. I'm Spicer Bell. I'm the president of the Community Foundation of the Eastern Shore. And through this series of programs, we shine the Community Foundation Spotlight on organizations that are making a real difference in our community. Today we're going to be talking about the Delmarva Education Foundation. My guest is Kat Harting. Kat, welcome.
Thank you, Spicer.
And you're officially the executive director of what we call DEF, Delmarva Education Foundation. For those who are not familiar, what is the Delmarva Education Foundation? What do you do?
Thank you for asking. DEF is a local nonprofit organization, and we help people find money to continue their education. That's the shortest possible version.
That's the shortest version of it, really.
Yes, that's the shortest possible version.
That's the elevator speech that you give somebody.
Well, we are focused primarily on providing or improving college access and success for residents of the lower Delmarva Peninsula. So we're college access and success means we want to help you get to something post-secondary, post-high school, and we want you to succeed at it, and we're there to help you. And for many people, that means they need help finding money, and that's like probably the first thing. And probably the second thing is they need help finding money. And then the third might be that they need information about where to go, how to find a college, what to look for, how to complete the process. And then sometimes they need encouragement, just a sense that it really is possible.
And you're part of a network of what are called college access programs across the country.
Yes, we belong to NCAN, National College Access Network, because there are plenty of college access programs. Maryland has a lot, just not much over here on the Eastern Shore, so that's a niche we're trying to fill.
Right. And remind me, DEF was founded how long ago? How long
we
ago?
started providing services in 2000.
2000. So you're 11, 12 years in operation now. So and certainly one of the areas of focus is for families where it's a first generation going to college.
Yes, because in this area, that tends to be who is looking. The statistics are that in Maryland, 1 in 3 adults has received a bachelor's degree. So Maryland is a relatively well-educated state. That's above the national average. The national average is 1 in 4 adults over 25 have a bachelor's degree. But here on the shore, it's 1 in 5. So on the shore, we're below the national average, whereas the state of Maryland is above. So we're really trying to bring or help the Delmarva Peninsula boost its educational attainment. And
certainly if a family has family members who have already been to college, particularly if they've been successful at college, it demystifies that college admissions and access program, the whole issue, where if there's nobody in the family that's ever been, it's a daunting task.
Oh yes, I mean just the vocabulary. I equate it to buying a house. Buying a house is very complicated. People say points, title search. What are they talking about? And in education, it's SAT, ACT, FAFSA. What's the difference between an accredited school and a non-accredited school? What's the difference between a college and a university? These things are not self-evident.
So, great. Well, now you've been the executive director of DEF for 5 years. And, one thing we haven't talked about is DEF was founded by your father. Kind of relate us to that. How's it work out running an organization your father founded?
It presents unique challenges, although he would be the first to say that he didn't start it alone. Although I think it was his idea, he got about 5 couples or families or organizations to join with him to put up some money to get it started. And some of those individuals are still with DEF. But that little band of people who joined him in this mission, he worked very hard on it. He put a lot of his personal money into it. He served both as president of the board of directors for a while, and then he was executive director. He had my job for a while. So he put but it was at a very later part of his life. He started it when he was in his mid-70s and worked for the decade from his mid-70s to his mid-80s. So it was like the last big
He really
effort.
didn't have very much energy at that point.
Well, he was going pretty strong to
strong.
start an organization in his mid-70s. And I was here. I was working down at UMES, so I saw it. I mean, he talked about DEF constantly. One year for Father's Day, his family gave him a sign that said DEF. You know, one of those big banners. It was like a big gift, and he's going, "Oh, thank you so much. I love this. This is so great." And I would take pictures for him for the events, and he was always saying, "So, you know, what do you think about the slogan? What do you think about the logo? What do you think about the mission statement?" So I was involved. I knew it was a big passion for him.
Yeah.
And then when he was in his mid-80s, he was really ready to turn it over to somebody else. And it worked out very well in terms of, I had just retired from UMES and was thinking, okay, now what? And so he and the board offered me this as a half-time job.
So, this is an encore career.
Yes.
So.
Yes. But what we share, I also have to say he died last year, so it's been just about a year that he's been gone. But what we both share was a sense that education was very important to us in terms of making us who we are. He was trained as a pediatrician, and his entire education, Harvard College, Harvard Medical School, and then Johns Hopkins for a master's in public health, was all funded by scholarships. He could never have done it. His father was a sign painter in Wilmington, and they didn't have money. And so that education changed his life, really changed his life. And he knew it, and he knew that it was because other people had invested in him that he was able to lead the kind of life that he led. And so DEF has that as its underlying driving motivation, which is to say, to enable this community to invest in the education of the people in the community.
Yeah, and I, of course, had that conversation with him many times, and he really had a true passion for what he was doing and what DEF was doing. I remember, of course, I got to know your dad when he was a health officer and I was the superintendent of schools, and when I first came to Salisbury working with Junior Achievement, one day he just appeared in my office. This was, I think it's about 2001, or it was early in DEF's, and plopped himself down. He says, "I want your opinion of what I'm trying to do here." And we used to talk about it at times, and I always enjoyed those conversations. But he relayed to me the same story you just told about how other people investing in him had changed his life, and he really wanted to be able to give that back in some way.
So he built this database of scholarships, local scholarships, because his theory was that there were people, local people, who wanted to help students and so they set up scholarship programs, but it's hard to find out about those scholarship programs. There's usually a picture in the paper when it's announced, and then frequently that doesn't come at a time when a student is looking, and so then when the student is looking, how do you find them? So the database that he built, starting by clipping it out, and later by putting it online and making it freely accessible and searchable, it's a database of all the local scholarships that are available for people around here who are looking for money. And it also serves to make it possible for people who are giving scholarships to promote it so that people can find them. You know, Rotary has a scholarship, the Seroptimists have a scholarship, Community Foundation has several scholarships.
About 100 now.
Yeah, okay, yeah, more than a few. And by aggregating all these local scholarships into one website, it makes it possible for someone who's looking for money to find it, and for someone who has money to give to tell about it. So that's like the core of what DEF has to offer in terms of a real treasure. And then there's the one-on-one human being interface, advice, support, encouragement, and direction that we as individuals at DEF, our college access advisors, can provide for people who want to go on.
Yeah, I think one of the frustrating things is that there are scholarships some years that no one applies for. I mean, it's money that's there that could help a young person go to college, and it's not getting used.
Yes.
And do you have any idea how many scholarships are in your database?
Over 500.
Okay, over 500. And I think in turn, of course, Community Foundation, we have administer over 100 scholarship funds now, and in interacting with people around those, some of them are small, some of them might make awards of $500 a year, or sometimes there's even smaller. Sometimes there's a thought that, well, $500 really isn't going to help. But the reality is that the debt of college graduates at the point of graduation currently in this country is twice what it was 10 years ago. And if a student can get a scholarship, that's less they're going to owe some organization, some bank, or the government when they graduate.
Less the scholarship and also the interest that would have accrued on the loan.
Absolutely. And so it can really have a tremendous impact down the road for a young person and a family if they take the effort to educate themselves, find the scholarships, and go about applying for them.
Well, and usually it's not that you're just after one scholarship. A part of it is getting kind of systematic and saying, okay, these plural are all the scholarships that I might apply for. And when I say that the DEF scholarship database has 500, that's not the entire universe of scholarships that anybody is eligible for. That's our specialty. Our specialty is aggregating all the local scholarships. But what we tell people, and what is on our website, is there's links also to federal dollars, there's links to state dollars, there's links to the institutions like UMS. If you go to UMES, they have scholarships. If you go to SU, they have scholarships. And if you go to the Community Foundation website, they have scholarships. Warwick has scholarships. So there are scholarships to be had at the school that you are choosing to attend. And then there is a big universe of national scholarships like Gates and Clairol, and they're all out there too. And so when I say there's 500 scholarships, I just mean there's those 500 that we are specialized in, which is designated specifically for local people. And that means that there's not much competition. As you point out, sometimes there is no competition. And it makes it very low-hanging fruit.
It is. It is. And for college now, it's not uncommon to find a textbook that costs well beyond $100. So a several $100 scholarship may not sound like much, but if it buys you books for a semester, that's money you don't have to expend. You referred to your website, and we're going to do this a couple of times during the show. Give your website address.
www.delmarvaed.org.
Okay, and we're going to get our friends here at PAC 14 to show it on the screen because, you know, we're going to have viewers who may have family members or relatives who are starting this quest for college, and we want them to access your website and use it as one of the resources they use. You have a bit of an interesting board of directors. Talk about your board of directors a little bit. What kind of people have been involved with DEF?
Well, as I said, we have some who've been involved since the very beginning and some who just started this year, actually. But there's about 13 of them now. And they are not a majority of educators. That's actually one of the characteristics of DEF, is that we are not so much educators as people who really appreciate education and the value that it has. So there's business people, there's a lawyer, there's there's a library director, there's people from the healthcare industry, and then there are people who are teachers now or who are retired, both at the high school level and at the college level. So when DEF originally started, there was a bylaw that said nobody who's actually making money as an educator can be on the board. And the idea there was to try to keep DEF's credibility, that we weren't representing any particular type of education or level of education. But we've changed that in the last year, actually, to bring educators on the board so that we have that input, not just as an advisory committee, which is the way it had been, but actually at the table. So there's a combination of business, professions, library, and educators.
But
old and new.
But people who recognize the value of education and the importance to the individuals getting education, but also the importance to our community.
Right.
Because they become better informed citizens, and they certainly have greater earning power.
Exactly.
That helps build our local economy.
Exactly, exactly. And it makes it so that the local workforce is eligible for the jobs that we see coming. You know, when they talk about Wallops and the growth of the space industry, those jobs are going to, many of them will require a good education. And I personally would really like to see those jobs going to our local people rather than all come here's.
Absolutely.
She says, speaking as a come here, I need to watch out.
That's all right. So, I'm going to pause here for a moment. You're watching Community Foundation Spotlight. I'm Spicer Bell. I'm the president of Community Foundation of Eastern Shore. My guest today is Kat Harting. Kat is the executive director of the Delmarva Education Foundation, often called, you'll hear us call it DEF. And we're talking about DEF's role and mission of helping young people be able to pursue education beyond high school, and be able to, for families to be able to afford it through funding scholarships and the like. Now, you just recently had a wonderfully successful event. You had a scholarship fair, first time you've done that, at the center in Salisbury. Talk about it.
Oh, it really was fabulous. It exceeded all our expectations. It was on the second Saturday of January, the 14th, and it went from 10 to 4, and we were busy the whole time. And we had every table, we had the mall, center of Salisbury, had 33 tables, and we filled every one of them, and we had a waiting list. Tables were filled by scholarship sponsors who came and brought their stacks of applications, and it gave them an opportunity to look for applicants, which they appreciated. And it gave scholarship applicants an opportunity to walk through the mall and talk to all these different scholarship sponsors about what they were looking for, who they were looking for, and to pick up an application at the same time. And then we also had high school guidance counselors at the DEF area, and a financial aid counselor, a college financial aid counselor, who are essentially resources, counseling resources, and they talk to each other and talk to parents and talk to students, and so that was a nice little exchange. And then we had Maryland College Savings Plan came to talk about those opportunities. The Community Foundation had a booth there talking so that you could talk about all your scholarships that you had. And so
we were swamped. I mean, we had folks standing in line virtually the entire time. I was there part of the time. It was really gratifying to see the result, and it was interesting to talk to some of the parents and students about you know, how important funding some financial aid was going to be to them be able to pursue their college career.
And I think one of the reasons that it was so successful was that it was well promoted. And I think the reason it was well promoted, based on the evaluation forms that we got, is that the schools really pushed it for us. Mm-hmm. They really, it increased our sense that DEF is working in tandem with the schools, and that they know about us, and that we are able to extend their support services. So that was also a really positive experience. Mm-hmm. And we were helped at one end by Horizons at the Salisbury School, which is a youth help organization specifically working towards improved academics. And at the other end of the mall by Kids of Honor.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was going to coach you there I knew Kids of Honor was there.
Kids of Honor, which is another youth help organization that focuses on keeping students helping them make it through high school. And so they were sort of our anchors at North and South End, and the DEF space was in the middle. And they both said that they never stopped talking, that it was just a constant flow of people. So we were really very gratified by how many more people now know about DEF. I mean, to some extent, I mean, we had laptop computers that were made possible by a grant from the Community Foundation there so that we could do scholarship searches for people while you wait, sort of. But the line was kind of long, and so we were ending up saying, why don't you just go on our website or call us next week, you know, when we can just talk over the phone when it's more restful. And because we can talk you through it, or you can go on the website and figure it out yourself, or you can come into our office. So it doesn't have to be right at this moment in the mall. You know, these are continuing services that we can provide.
Very good. Now, you also recently worked with WMDT on a partnership and put together a whole series of little mini featurettes there, I guess it would be called Meet the Money Givers. What's that all about?
Meet the Money Givers is a series. We're in season 3 this year. It's a series of little vignettes that, like, let's say, Contractors for a Cause, which is has a scholarship. It's local contractors, and they would come on and be interviewed by the WMDT anchor about their scholarship. And each feature runs about 1.5 minutes, and the scholarship sponsor has a chance to be a celebrity and to talk about what they're looking for in terms of a student, what the money can be used for, how much money they're giving away, and what's the source of the money. Because sometimes it can be a golf tournament that they want to promote, or it can be employee contributions that they want to tout. And so they get to talk about their scholarship, and then people who are looking for scholarships can see a whole series. I mean, the airwaves during the winter, January, February, March, and April, which is when it runs, are therefore full of the sound of scholarships, which we at DEF, we do the booking. We find the people. That's the contribution that we make. And all the scholarships are listed in our database. So anybody who misses Meet the Money Givers, scholarship information out of our database. And if they're looking for more information about a specific scholarship that they hear on Meet the Money Givers, they're referred to our database. So that's our contribution. And also filling the airwaves with the sound of the availability of money, so that even somebody who's in 8th grade can say, wow, you know something? I guess maybe I might be able to consider this, even if my own family doesn't have the money. From what I hear, this community wants to help me. That's the message.
If I get the good grades that I need to have, if I apply myself, there's going to be that opportunity for me.
Yes.
It's an important message.
Yes.
It's really an important message. That's one of the messages I know that both the Horizons folks and the Kids of Honor folks you know, try to get to their students, the students involved in those programs. What do you see as some of your successes, and what kinds of challenges do you see DEF facing in the near future?
Okay, so I'm going to talk about successes first.
Either way.
Start strong.
Either way.
Start strong. The scholarship fair was a big success. We also had a great success in bringing the guidance counselors together so that they all had an opportunity, high school guidance counselors from the Tri-County area. Actually, it was bigger than that. It was like the whole lower Delmarva Peninsula who came together. And it was an opportunity for them to share in terms of best practices and sort of how do you counsel high school students for post-secondary success. That was the topic. So we're trying to be, in addition to helping, our primary interest is in making this market between those who have scholarships to give and those who are looking for money. And to put those two people together, two sectors together. But then we're also trying to be a source of new ideas. And so by convening the guidance counselors, that's actually where we got the idea for the scholarship fair. So it was definitely a source of new ideas. I take that back. It was when we convened the scholarship sponsors. That was another meeting.
Okay.
It was when we convened the scholarship sponsors that they came up with the idea of the scholarship
I think
fair.
we participated in that meeting.
Yes.
I think we kind of
Yes.
participated in both of them.
Yes, yes. Community Foundation has helped with both of those. So our meetings of people is a source of help. So those have been successful, and then our numbers are going up every year. We've got a little bar chart that shows how many people we have contact with, and those have been going up. So we're feeling like we're becoming better used, better known and better used. So those, I would say, would be our principal successes. And also the fact that what we have to offer, I think, is becoming increasingly important.
Now, if there's somebody watching, Kat, who would like to help advance your mission, how can they get involved with DEF? How can they help?
Well, I would love it if they would call us and we can talk about how they want to help, and then we'll find a place for them.
And we're going to put that phone number on the screen.
Yeah, we'll find a place for them. I mean, if it's this, donations always are welcome, because we are funded by community support, grants and donations. And to some lesser extent by fees. We're starting to have to charge institutions and organizations when we make presentations. But our services are free to individuals. And that costs money, and this has not been a particularly stellar fundraising environment since the recession's been going on. And we have an on-site website donation thing. Mm-hmm. You can push that button.
So somebody might not be able to afford their own scholarship or write a check to a family or kid, but they could write a check to you, and that's going to help get somebody into college and connect them with some financial aid.
Yes, yes, absolutely. That's what we hope, is that by supporting DEF, those dollars turn right around and support local students. Mm-hmm. The money doesn't have to go all the way into Annapolis, doesn't have to go all the way into the feds. It can just stay right here and help local students go further. Mm-hmm. But of course, the other thing they can do is they can start a scholarship or contribute to a scholarship. Community Foundation has scholarship funds that can take extra money, can't they?
Oh, absolutely. And interesting enough, we had at least one gentleman who talked to us at the scholarship fair is going to start a scholarship. So that was how he found us. And he had seen some of our scholarship award pictures in the paper and what have you, and he's decided, he's in the process now, of he's going to make a gift to the Community Foundation. It will be permanently endowed, and we'll create a new scholarship. I think it's going to be for Bennett High School. Great. He's a Bennett alum, and he wants to do something for future Bennett graduates, and that's how he's decided to do it. So there are lots of vehicles out there to do that. There are lots of service organizations that have scholarships, and individuals can contribute to those funds or support their fundraisers. Coming up is Laura, the owned restaurant association.
Yes.
Has a gala coming up next month.
Yes.
And that's to fund scholarships. So you can get out and support those types of events. You're supporting scholarships and helping young people pursue their education.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So there's lots of ways.
Kat, we're nearing the end of our time here. Anything you'd like to close with in terms of appeal or urging, our viewers in terms of participation with DEF?
Well, we could use help. My dad put a lot of his personal dollars into DEF, which is one of the reasons why it still exists. And we are right at the cusp of demonstrating whether or not this community is interested enough in what DEF has to offer to continue it, to provide support for it so that it will continue. And it's not clear that we will. And so if anybody is out there and thinks, wow, this is something this community needs, I encourage them to put their money where their thought is.
Mm-hmm. And they can do that by direct donation, and you also have a small endowment with the Community Foundation that helps support your operation.
That's exactly right.
Could do it either way. And certainly we want to urge people to do that. It's investing it's investing in our future. That's our kids are our future of this community and of the country and the world. So getting them the best education possible is important for all of us.
And they can also mark their calendar for next January 12th, which we hope and plan will be the second annual DEF Scholarship Fair. Another opportunity to make those resources abundantly clear to students and their parents.
Great. Well, we'll be marking our calendar. So mark your calendar. We're talking about Delmarva Education Foundation, a wonderful resource for families and young people in our community to help them pursue education beyond high school, post-secondary education. And we say to any family that's watching, don't consider post-secondary education out of your means. If you have the desire, there are vehicles there to help you achieve that goal. Kat, been a pleasure having you with us.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for the work that you do at DEF.
My pleasure.
And thank you for watching Community Foundation Spotlight and being a regular viewer here on PAC 14.
Would you like to see your community organization or nonprofit group featured on PAC 14? To get started, contact us at 410-677-5014 or visit our website at www.pac14.org. PAC 14 is a great way to connect with your community.